The Wrong Bride, The Right Heart. Previous episodes are available on playlist, a link is given in the video description. Episode 3. Chapter 24. Gabriella, time to wake up beautiful, breakfast is ready. I felt Jamie's deep voice vibrating against my throat before he feathered soft kisses up and down my neck and face. I couldn't help but giggle while lifting my arms and wrapping them around Jamie's neck, letting my eyes flutter open. I was met with those gorgeous brown orbs as he smiled down at me sweetly. "How can you look this beautiful after just waking up?" he asked, making my stomach flip as he pressed his lips to mine. Then I began to feel that wanting, the need to have Jamie any way I can as I kissed him deeper. Jamie crawled on the bed above me, the feel of his body hovering over mine making me press against him as he let out a groan. "I'm trying to be good, Gabby, and you are making it very, very hard," he muttered against my lips. "Good, maybe he will finally give in." I blinked up at him innocently as I lifted my waist, rubbing into him purposefully as I felt something hard and long. Jamie hissed, his body trying to pull back as I shook my head no eagerly. "Please," I mouthed, making Jamie drop his head as he rested it in the crook of my neck. "Gabriella, I don't think you are ready for that," he mumbled, and then I started to get annoyed. I quickly reached for my phone on the end table and began typing. "I know that I haven't done a lot of stuff, but I feel like with you I want to. I feel like I'm ready. I am 21 after all." I typed and watched as he lifted his head to read it. Then a long sigh escaped him as he sat up, his eyes avoiding mine for a moment before he reached up and ran his fingers through his hair. "I know, listen, I understand that you want to do all of this. I want to too, really bad, Gabriella. But to be honest, this is new for me too," he confessed, the vulnerability in his voice not going unnoticed. Suddenly I felt the urge to be closer to him as I scrambled into his lap and placed my hands on his face, making him look at me. I gave him a concerned stare, causing his own hand to rise now as he began tracing my lips gently. "This is the first time I have ever felt like this, like I want to be careful with you and take my time because I don't want to rush a single thing. I don't want to miss the way your eyes light up when I kiss you, or how you blush so beautifully with every compliment," he whispered, making my lips part as he continued to draw gentle lines back and forth. "Last night was incredible. Just watching you do that was more satisfying than anything I have ever experienced, and I want more, Gabriella, so much more, but I also know exploring these firsts with you makes it all worth waiting for," he explained as I nodded my head and wrapped my arms around his waist before hugging him tight. I feel bad now. Have I been pressuring Jamie too much? I guess I just felt excited to do stuff, but it is only the third day we have lived together. So I do want you, Gabriella, but I don't want to treat this like the other situations I've been in because those meant nothing to me, but this, it means everything, so I want to do it right," he whispered, prompting me to nod my head up and down as he grabbed my face now before peering down at me. "Kissing though, we can do all the kissing we want." He smiled brightly as I eagerly smashed my lips to his, doing exactly that as I felt his tongue slide into my mouth before rolling against me. We made out for a good 15 minutes before Jamie eventually dragged me to the kitchen. I could see his erection the whole time, which was pretty dang distracting, and I couldn't help but stare. Maybe I am turning into some type of pervert. Is it normal to want to see him? I just want to see it. I have never seen one, other than on a sculpture or in a painting, but Jamie's seems a lot bigger than that. Eventually he excused himself as I dished out the food he ordered and I began to wonder if he was okay. He came back not too long after and seemed in a calmer mood. He also changed his pants. "Ready to eat?" he asked with a big smile before walking over and kissing the top of my head. I nodded eagerly as he pulled out the stool next to me before sitting down and pulling my chair closer, causing me to squeak. We sat and ate breakfast as Jamie told me about him going back to work tomorrow. My eyes widened as I bit my lip nervously before pulling out my phone. "Can I go with you?" I typed, showing him the screen as I glanced up at me. "I'm glad you asked because I wasn't sure how to bring it up," he confessed before letting out a chuckle. "I think it's best if you come with me for now. You can hang out in my office and I will have my secretary set some things up for you," he explained as I felt my shoulders relax. Jamie bent down before wrapping his arms around my waist. "I'm not ready to leave you yet. I want you by my side for everything," he confessed, making my heart flip as I smiled up at him before giving him a soft kiss. "So today, I was thinking we could go shopping, get my fiancé some nice clothes for the office," he whispered against my lips as I couldn't help but bounce up and down happily. "You like that idea?" he asked with humor lacing his voice as I nodded eagerly. "Good, because I plan on spoiling you rotten," Jamie growled, his mouth crashing into the crook of my neck as he attacked me with kisses and bites, making me burst with laughter. "God, I love your laugh, it's the best sound ever," he muttered, as his kisses turned sweeter, and then he began sucking. The feel of his tongue swirling on my skin made a shiver tremble through me as I tilted my head to the side, giving him better access. He kissed, bit and sucked my neck for a good 5 minutes before finally pulling away and looking at the place he just kissed. "There, now you're all ready to go out," he stated with a mischievous glint in his eyes as I just blinked up at him, not sure what he meant by that. Well, I wasn't until I went to the bathroom. I was washing my hands when I saw the biggest red and purple mark on my throat. Is this what he was doing? The mark was huge as I splashed some cold water on it, realizing it wasn't coming off any time soon. Then I began to admire it more, feeling a smile pull at my lips as I realized this was Jamie's way of saying I belonged to him when we go out. "Well, maybe I should wear my hair up today." "That sounds good to me." After putting my hair up, I got a text from my dad as I went to read it. "From Daddy, hope you are doing okay, Bunny. Jamie said you guys are going out today to go shopping. I hope you have fun, but make sure to stay with him at all times. We should get some lunch soon. Miss you and love you." To Daddy, "Don't worry Daddy, I will be careful. Love you too and miss you." I messaged back, knowing my dad has been calling Jamie a good 4 or 5 times a day just to check in. I just wonder how he is doing with Cecelia and my stepmother. Katrina seems to be in her own world, so I'm sure she isn't giving him too much trouble. I was about to step out of the bathroom when I heard Jamie's voice and he sounded angry. "Rylan, I told you not to come here. She isn't ready for that yet." Jamie began to yell and then quickly whispered the last part. "Rylan, wait, wasn't that Jamie's friend's name?" Curiosity got the best of me as I quietly opened the bathroom door before creeping out into the hall. "You need to go, now," Jamie snapped. "Just let me say hi to the girl. Geez, we haven't seen you in a week and you don't return my calls. I just want to make sure she isn't some succubus stealing your soul or something." You've even been ignoring Jolie's calls. I know shit with you two got weird after what happened in Aspen, but you never ignored her calls, dude. Rylan said, making me furrow my brow as I stopped mid-step, and that's when a guy with shaggy blonde hair and blue eyes peeked around the corner, making my jump. Well, now you must be Gabriella. The guy smiled brightly as Jamie appeared around the corner next, his eyes filled with surprise. Jamie, I reached my hand out, yanking Rylan back by his shirt before glaring at him profusely. I knew I shouldn't have given him that emergency key. You, go sit over there. I gritted through my teeth and pointed to the sofa. Rylan was like a brother to me. In fact, when I was younger I spent most of my time at his house with his family in high school than I did with my own dad. Of course, that was when I wasn't at my mom's house for the week. Rylan and I are complete opposites. He is carefree and impulsive while I am clearly more organized and think things through thoroughly well. Until Gabriella, she was the first impulsive I have ever made my entire life. But Rylan annoys the shit out of me and loves to see me riled up, and yet I still love the guy. By the look on his face right now, he clearly knows he is in deep shit. Sorry, dude. He whispered sheepishly and went to the other room quickly, knowing I wasn't messing around. I hastily walked to the hallway, realizing Gabriella was no longer standing there, and my heart dropped. She must have heard everything. What happened between me and Jolie isn't anything bad really, we just had a slight misunderstanding and I cleared it up that same day. I was aware that she did have a crush on me for years, and in Aspen a few months ago she tried to kiss me. I shut it down real quick and told her I didn't feel the same way about her. Jolie was like a sister to me, and honestly, she and Rylan look way too much alike that it's creepy. Just thinking about being with her made a chill shudder down my spine that would be like hooking up with Rylan. I walked to our bedroom door and knocked softly before pushing it open. That's when I saw Gabriella sitting on the bed glancing down at Butterscotch before she peered up at me worriedly. Oh God, I didn't like that look, it broke my heart. Baby, let me explain. Jolie had a little crush on me, but I swear I never saw her that way. Nothing happened between us and I cleared things up that same day. I rushed out before sitting next to her and placing my hand on her back. Suddenly Gabriella looked down at her phone before sniffling. Are you embarrassed for your friend to meet me? She suddenly typed out, making my eyes widen. What? No. Of course not. I whispered hastily, feeling my heart drop as I pulled Gabriella into my lap before hugging her tight. Is that what she thought? I felt her bury her face in the crook of my neck as I rubbed her back gently. Rylan, he is just a lot. And honestly, I kind of wanted this time with just you. That's why I have been avoiding his calls. Because I'm not ready to share you yet. Rylan will insert himself into everything. I grumbled the last part, making Gabriella smile before pulling back and looking up at me. I lifted my arms, resting my palms against her cheeks as I gazed down at her beautiful face. I just love getting to know you and having this time together one-on-one, and eventually we will introduce all of our friends and family, but I'm selfish, I don't want to share. I admitted before pouting and making her laugh as she reached up and began kissing me on the lips and cheeks. I guess you can meet. I grumbled before kissing her back and sighing. Rylan, he better not try anything with Gabriella. I stood up, lifting Gabriella with me before pressing my lips to hers once more and then setting her down. My eyes drifted up and down her gorgeous body as I felt anxious about this. Am I becoming too possessive? I don't want to hold Gabriella back from meeting new people, God knows her family had done that long enough, but a part of me just wants to put a bubble around her and keep her by my side at all times. Then it hit me, I am already falling for her hard, and that realization doesn't scare me as much as it should. Gabriella took my hand as she began pulling me out into the hall, her eyes filled with excitement before we finally got to the living room where Rylan was still sitting. The moment he saw Gabby, he shot up and smiled at her widely. "Gabriella, it's nice to finally meet you," he said before stepping closer to her as I gave him a warning glare, but of course Gabriella, being the amazing and kind person she is, smiled just as brightly back to him, making me frown. Gabriella uses sign language to speak, but she also uses her phone sometimes. I began to explain when Rylan started to move his hands smoothly, making Gabriella gasp as he started doing sign language. I kid you not. What? Of course he knew ASL, that prick. I looked at him in shock as Gabriella began responding excitedly, making Rylan laugh as I suddenly felt left out and even more jealous. "When did you learn sign language?" I hissed, making Rylan beam at me excitedly, obviously seeing I was annoyed off. "I took it as an elective in college." He shrugged, his eyes gleaming mischievously as he signed something else, making Gabriella blush before responding with "thank you." "I knew that one at least." "What did you say?" I blurted, trying to figure out what was happening right now. "I just told her she is beautiful," he explained with a smug look on his face, letting me know that wasn't all. Gabriella wrapped her small hands around my arm, prompting me to look down at her. She watched me carefully before lifting and kissing me on the cheek, making me melt beneath her touch. "So, when is it? When is the wedding?" Rylan sighed as he glanced between us carefully. I could see it in his eyes, he was obviously taken with Gabriella, and I can't blame him, but he better not try anything though. Rylan is a flirt to the highest level and I won't put up with it, not with Gabriella. "A little under 2 weeks," I stated, making both Rylan and Gabriella do a double take as they stared at me. I didn't tell Gabriella exactly how soon it would be, but yet I have started the process already. I told her it would be soon. "Oh, that's fast. Is there a reason for that?" Rylan asked, glancing down at Gabriella's stomach as I pulled her closer to me, wrapping my arms around her protectively. Of course he thought she was pregnant, that pervert. "No, I just don't want to wait," I snapped, knowing Rylan was probably wondering what happened to me. "Okay, no need to get all territorial, geez. So what are we doing today?" Rylan asked before plopping back onto the couch and looking between us. Gabriella glanced up at me as I was about to open my mouth to tell Rylan to, when she started signing. "Shopping? Oh great! I needed to get some new swim trunks for the party this weekend. Oh shit, Gabby, you totally have to come," he added with the douchiest grin ever as the way he called her Gabby annoyed me off. "Sorry, we have a lot going on, and then we are heading to the office later, so." I trailed off, hoping Rylan got the hint as he began to pout before signing something to Gabby. She quickly looked up at me and shook her head no before saying something else. That's when Rylan jumped to his feet and quickly slipped his hands into his pockets. "Deal sounds good. Very nice to meet you, Gabriella, see you later, dude," he stated and swiftly left the apartment, leaving me completely dumbfounded as I looked at the now closed door. That was too easy. What did you say to him?" I asked in shock as Gabriella pulled out her phone and began typing. Don't be mad, but I told him if he left us alone, we would go to his party. She wrote out before smiling up at me sheepishly, making me sigh. I turned more towards her as I looped my arms around Gabriella's waist while bowing my back and inching closer to her face. Do you want to go to the party? I asked, and then she nodded her head while biting her lip nervously. I could see the excitement that filled her eyes, and I then realized, I'm in trouble. There is no way I can say no to this girl. Okay, we can go. I sighed, and that's when Gabriella threw herself into my arms before kissing me until I was left gasping for air. If this is what she is like when she gets her way, I wonder what she is like when she begs. Gabriella, I glanced over at Jamie as his hand slid down my back, resting there gently as he chatted away on the phone. I couldn't help but gaze up at him longingly. Man, was he handsome. We had just gotten into his office and I couldn't wipe this goofy grin off of my face. We might have gotten a few shocked stares on the way up here, but Jamie just held his head up high and walked me through the office proudly. Today has been incredible, though. Not only did I meet one of Jamie's friends finally, but he also knew ASL. I couldn't believe it. I think Jamie felt a little left out, so I tried to make up for it by being extra cute and clingy, which seemed to do the trick. Then during our little shopping spree, Jamie bought me so many clothes I was shocked. I told him I didn't need that much, but he insisted and is having it all sent to the apartment later. I didn't even try on most of them. I swear if my hand touched the fabric, the store clerk would have it off the rack and in my size within seconds. He really is spoiling me rotten. I was wearing a cute plaid dress with a white long-sleeved shirt underneath and black flats. Jamie kept kissing me and telling me I looked beautiful the whole way up the elevator, making my stomach fill with butterflies. He is so sweet and kind, and I was grateful. He explained everything about Ryland's sister, Jolie. I am a little nervous though. Maybe she won't like me because Jamie and I are together. If she had a crush on him for that long, I hope that isn't the case. Jamie hung up his phone before turning in his chair and facing me. We started with me on the other side of the desk, but somehow I ended up right next to him in my own office chair. Are you getting hungry yet, princess? He asked, making me blush as I nodded my head yes. Yeah, he started calling me that after we went shopping. It makes my heart flutter every time. I saw the dozens of bags filled with clothes being carried out and I typed out a message to him. Jamie, this is too much. You make me feel like a spoiled princess or something. I wrote before flashing him my text and making him laugh. Well, you are my princess and you think this is spoiling you? I haven't even started yet. He grumbled against me before giving me a tender kiss. Then he started calling me princess for the rest of the day. I love it, and if I am Jamie's princess, he really is my prince. I can't help but think of the story about Cinderella and how the prince fell in love with her the moment he saw her. That's how I feel, like this is all some type of fairy tale. Okay, let me just tell Destiny, she usually puts the orders in for lunch around this time. Do you like steak? He asked and I nodded up and down eagerly. I liked all food. Of course you do. He grumbled, making me elbow him in the ribs and causing him to laugh. Destiny was Jamie's secretary. She seemed like a nice older woman who had worked with the company for about 7 years, he said. I watched as Jamie pressed some buttons on his desk phone and told Destiny what we wanted. That's when there was a soft knock at the door, making my gaze shoot up. I should have guessed Jamie wouldn't be able to leave you home. Mr. Sinclair, Jamie's dad chimed in as a wide smile filled my face before I got up from the chair. Jamie shot up instantly as well, watching hesitantly as I went and gave his dad a hug. After spending that time with him the other night, I felt like we really got to know one another. To be honest, he kind of reminded me of my own dad. So, what do you think of the place? Robert asked, making me nod and give him a thumbs up as I started to pull away, only to bump into Jamie who was hovering behind us. We just ordered some lunch, did you need something? Jamie asked curtly, making his dad slip his hands into his pockets while glancing between us. I see, I was going to ask if you wanted to go out, but that's okay, we can eat in here. He added before walking to Jamie's desk and sitting down. I thought you had that meeting at noon. Jamie muttered, looking at his dad with confusion. I scheduled it for later. After hearing the buzz about your fiancé being here, I thought I could join you for lunch. We can go over the wedding stuff while we are at it. Jamie stepped closer to me before wrapping his arm around my waist. Well, I already sent you all of the details, what else do you need to know? The venue was booked and I am having the dresses brought over on Sunday for her to try on. Jamie stated, making me blink my eyes rapidly. This was all news to me. I was going to show you everything tonight. He whispered against my ear as I nodded. I could feel the tension between Jamie and his dad growing, it was the same as the other night at dinner. I could tell Jamie wasn't comfortable and I didn't want to push him and make things worse. I'm not sure exactly what their relationship is like, but from what I have seen, it seemed strained and serious. Then why was his dad so nice around me? I just wanted to make sure the guest list was up to date. I also called your mother, I think we should do a family dinner soon. Mr. Sinclair stated as Jamie's mouth dropped open. You called my mom? He asked, seeming dumbfounded as Robert nodding his head up and down. Listen, I know things got ugly before, but I think it's time we came together as a family. I know I haven't been the perfect father and have asked a lot of you, but now that you and Gabriella are getting married and the idea of grandchildren seems more plausible than ever, well, I think it's time we move on. Robert began as I peered up at Jamie. He looked mad, really mad. What is this really about? What's the hidden agenda here? The only thing you have cared about for the past 26 years is your company, and now that I'm going to get married, that all changes overnight? You expect me to believe that? Jamie scoffed while glaring at his father angrily. I wrapped my arms around Jamie's waist before leaning into his side, my touch seeming to calm him slightly as his dad slowly stood and let out a long breath. I understand how it may look, son. But I've come to realize that money isn't everything and our time here, it can't be bought. Perhaps we can have lunch another day. He trailed off before heading towards the door and stopping suddenly right beside Jamie. Robert reached his hand out, hesitating briefly before placing it on Jamie's shoulder as he looked at him. I know it will take time, but I meant every word I just said, and I will prove it. And with that, he left the office, leaving me staring up at a baffled Jamie as I pressed my cheek against his chest and hugged him. My eyes must have said a lot because I didn't even have to try and express my concern as Jamie let out a sigh before tucking my head beneath his chin. I just don't get it, he has never cared before, so why now? He whispered, a sadness filling his tone as I hugged him even tighter. Gabriella, I'm sorry for brining you into this stuff with my family. But I feel like I need to explain we were never really close. My dad always put his job and money first, even above his wife and child. The only way he would ever pay attention to me was if I succeeded at something. Then he would finally come around, so you can see why him trying to get close is concerning, right? You don't think I'm being cold, do you? He asked me worriedly as I pulled back and shook my head no. I would never judge Jamie for something like that. I can understand completely. My father was away for most of my life, but the chances I did get with him were warm and loving, at least I had that much. I quickly reached down and grabbed my phone before typing out a message. I understand, and you don't have to force anything for me. I'm here for you and only you. All the other stuff doesn't matter, only your happiness does. I typed out, watching as Jamie read it before his eyes widened, and then he quickly pulled me onto a hug, squeezing so tight I almost couldn't breathe. Thank you for saying that. You have no idea how much that means to me, Gabriella, really. He rushed out and began kissing me fervently, making me melt beneath his touch as that sadness he had seemed to simply disappear. Gabriella, good girl, I love it when you moan like that, it's so cute. Jamie whispered roughly against my ear before nibbling on it as I arched my back, feeling his fingers slide through my wet slit as I gripped onto his arm tighter. It was early Friday morning, and touching me was how he decided to wake me up this morning. Over the last 4 days it's like Jamie can't keep his hands off of me. We just did this last night too. But he still won't let me touch him yet. It's not fair, but even at work, I noticed his hand is always on my thigh or grabbing me. Even I love it. I want to taste you, Gabby, will you let me? Jamie breathed while pulling back and looking down at me. His hand lazily stroked my pussy as I tried to understand what he meant by that. He didn't mean down there, did he? This will be your next lesson, he smirked before kissing me deeply as I nodded my head aimlessly, feeling drunk off of his touch already. If just his fingers alone can make me lose control, what will it feel like with his mouth? Lay back, Jamie instructed as I laid all the way down, watching as his eyes wandered my body. I was wearing one of his t-shirts and still had my panties on. You are so beautiful, he whispered, his hands sliding down my body as he scooted to the end of the bed. I bit my lips anxiously, feeling my chest rising and falling heavily. This was definitely new for me. I had gotten used to the touching, but to imagine his face down there so close to me, it made my stomach twist into knots. Jamie began pressing soft kisses down my stomach, his hand bunching my shirt up past my belly button as goosebumps prickled my skin. Then he went even further. I'm going to take these off, okay, princess? He asked, prompting me to swallow hard before nodding again. Even if I could speak, I knew right at this moment I wouldn't be able to talk anyway. It was almost too much to handle. I watched. Oh God, you are just as sweet and delicious as I imagined. Jamie grumbled before doing it again, making my arms flop out and try to grip onto something, anything, while Jamie began to feast. His mouth and tongue tasted and teased me as I felt my stomach already tightening. I was close, so close that when Jamie stopped for a moment I let out a frustrated groan. I heard Jamie laugh as I lifted my head to glare down at him as amusement seemed to fill his gaze. This was not funny, I was almost there. I'm guessing that frustrated look means you like it then, princess? He asked me before raising an eyebrow. I couldn't help but stare at his glistening lips as I knew they were wet from me. Wow, was that cute, and the way he had his arms looped around my thighs, holding me down. I began to pant again while letting out a whimper and pouting. "You want more?" he asked, making me nod hastily before I watched him stick out his tongue, his eyes still locked onto mine. "What? Where are you going?" He began to panic as I pointed to the phone. Then he let out a rush of air before nodding and loosening his grip slightly. I grabbed the phone and began typing, making him stare at me intently, and then I flashed it to him. That's when a smirk filled his face as he nodded his head before taking my phone and placing it back down. "Fine, that will be a part of the deal too, but the moment you say my name, that's when I will let you come, and after that then you can see it." He agreed, and I couldn't help the excitement bubble up inside of me. Yes, I asked to see that. Jamie still hasn't let me see him or let me touch him, so that's what I asked for, and suddenly I felt more determined than ever to say his name. I laid back on the bed. I could feel his name forming on the tip of my tongue. To be honest, this wasn't the first time. I have felt the urge to call out his name every single time he touched me, but I never felt brave enough to try. The butterflies I felt from his touch, jumbled together with the nerves, making me build up even higher. "The moment you say it, then I will let you do as many times as you want," he reminded me as I bit my lip. This time he didn't stop right away, and I swear this was it. He was going to give it to me for free. I was about to tip over when he stopped, then it happened. "Jamie." I stuttered out his name, the sounds not even forming together, but the gasp I heard from him was enough to know it didn't matter. "That was the most incredible thing I have ever experienced, Gabriella, seeing you, hearing you," he gasped, his mouth kissing a trail up my body until he found my lips, making my head feel light. I didn't even know what was going on. My hearing dulled and I couldn't lift my arms, they felt dead. "You said my name, baby, you really said it," he breathed while kissing my cheeks and mouth sweetly. Then he grabbed my face, turning me to meet him as his eyes bore into mine, and what he said next I thought I was dreaming. "Gabriella, I think I'm already falling in love with you." "Jamie, I have never been so happy in my entire life." Gabriella spoke not only that, but she said my name. I could see how it was hard for her, but was it perfect? And the way she tasted, oh God, she was so delicious. I'm addicted to this girl in every way possible. Bending down, I placed my lips to hers, kissing my princess deeply as she panted beneath me. I just admitted I am falling for her, and the look in her eyes tells me everything. She is falling for me too. Suddenly Gabriella sat up slightly, peering into me as she pressed on my chest, pushing me back slightly. "My turn," she mouthed while pointing to herself. I have gotten pretty good at reading her lips now, so it's easier to understand the smaller things she says. Then the air changed. She started looking at me with so much intensity and desire, I began to feel nervous. I have tried so hard to delay this, not because I don't think she is ready, but because I know once she touches me I'm probably going to make a complete fool of myself. Before I could even speak, she pressed her hand to my chest, pushing me back onto the bed, and climbed on top of me, straddling my lap. I let out a gasp, watching Gabriella take charge as she reached for my shirt and tugged, making me laugh. "You want this off first?" I asked, watching her nod up and down eagerly as her beautiful blue eyes sparkled with excitement. I helped her take my shirt off, watching as her piercing gaze traveled up and down my body hungrily. This wasn't the first time she had seen me without a shirt, but this was the first time I let her have control. She snapped her gaze to me, seeming to ask for permission as I smiled softly and nodded. I felt my throat dry as her eager eyes made butterflies flood through me. After all that and after cleaning ourselves up, I climbed back into bed before wrapping my arms around her and kissing her deeply. I swear I had never felt so satiated, and yet the taste of me on her lips. Yet I might really be an addict now. That was incredible, princess. I breathed against her, making Gabriella smile. You are all mine, Gabriella Kensington, you and those magic hands. I grumbled, making her let out an adorable giggle as I began kissing up and down her face and neck. You sure are a fast learner. Maybe we should call in sick today, what do you think? I suggested, feeling Gabriella's head nod up and down sleepily as I snuggled closer to her even more. Yet I think we should stay in bed all day. I have a few more lessons we can go over and over, and over. Sounds pretty good to me. Gabriella, I glanced in the mirror once more before turning from side to side, those large hands magically appearing around my waist as Jamie sneaked up on me and started to kiss the side of my neck. Are you sure you want to go to the party? We could just stay in bed all day like we did yesterday. He mumbled, making my stomach flip as I couldn't help but blush. Yes, we did stay in bed all day, and I must say, I learned some very interesting things, like how Jamie can't seem to keep his hands and mouth to himself. I didn't think getting this close to him would make me feel so comfortable and natural. The mere idea of doing anything before would embarrass me, but with Jamie I want to know and do everything. I love seeing how his eyes light up when I touch him, and the way he gets hard for me so fast I can even feel it now pressing against my lower back. Jamie and I have pretty much covered all the bases besides having X now, and I want it so bad. I want him so bad. I even learned how to pleasure him with my mouth. Just the thought makes my cheeks warm. I can still taste him now from this morning and what we did in the shower. He always comes at least twice if I don't stop, and I love seeing the look on his face and how he trembles beneath my touch. I almost enjoy that more than what he does to me, almost. I leaned back into Jamie's chest as he began sucking on my neck, leaving those marks I love looking at. Finally, his eyes snapped to mine in the reflection as I pouted, giving him the best puppy eyes I could muster as he pulled off of my neck and sighed. Fine, but only if you say my name again. He smiled, making my stomach flip. I have said his name about 6 times since the first. It's the only thing I can say, and usually he asks me to say it with his head between my legs, so this seems even more nerve-wracking. I swallowed hard and took in a deep breath before locking my eyes on those warm honey ones. Jamie. I managed to stutter out, this time not as hard as the last, I will admit, it's getting easier. Perfect, I love hearing you say my name, princess, so much. He sighed before turning me and kissing my lips roughly. Then I felt his hands slide down before squeezing. I was in a swimsuit since this was some type of beach-themed party, and I could tell Jamie liked it. It was a dark blue one-piece that hugged my curves and had a V-shaped neckline with ties down the middle. I had a pair of black sheer pants over it and paired them with some stroppy sandals. Jamie wore matching dark blue swim trunks and a button-up shirt that was undone down to his chest. I slipped my hands beneath the fabric, feeling his abs beneath my palms as he groaned out. Just one more taste, then we will go. He grumbled and quickly lifted me up before chucking me onto the bed as a burst of giggles exploded out of me. 20 minutes later, Ray was now driving us to the party as Jamie looked down at me anxiously. What's wrong? I signed, knowing he understood that one. I have been teaching Jamie a few easy signs and he seems to be picking it up really fast. Make sure you stay with me at all times, okay? There shouldn't be too many people, but I'm not sure who he invited exactly. Jamie grumbled the last part, prompting me to snuggle into his side before taking out my phone and typing something. I won't leave your side, I promise. I flashed the screen to him, making Jamie let out a rush of air as he hugged me tighter before kissing the top of my head. Then his phone suddenly vibrated, prompting him to pull it out as I saw Ryland's name on the screen. What is it? Jamie answered rudely, making me elbow him in the side, the action not seeming to affect him though. He is so mean to Ryland sometimes. Dude, I told you in the text that we are on our way, just chill, okay? You're stressing me out. Jamie stated. Yes, she is excited, no, because I said so, Ryland. Fine. Then he hung up, making me look at him with confusion. Just Ryland being himself. He said like that would explain everything. Then we suddenly pulled up to a huge building. The outside was modern and sleek with 2 security guards outside. After the car came to a stop, Ray ran around the side, opening the door for us as Jamie helped me out. His hand wrapped around my waist as he suddenly paused. Oh, I know this isn't how I wanted to do this, but the jeweler didn't have the ring ready until late this morning and Ray just picked it up before getting us. Jamie explained, making my eyes widen. Ring? Then Jamie suddenly pulled out a small blue box from his pocket, making me gasp. My fiancé needs an engagement ring, right? He asked with a lopsided grin as I bit the inside of my cheek, trying to keep myself from crying. Jamie opened the box and I was absolutely flabbergasted. The ring inside had a pink oval diamond with a gorgeous vine-shaped band going around it with smaller diamonds surrounding them. I had never seen anything so beautiful in my life. Do you like it? Jamie asked, prompting me to nod my head emphatically as my tears spilled over. I love it. I signed, watching as Jamie took it out before placing the ring on my finger. I couldn't help but gaze down at the gorgeous stone. Jamie pulled me into a hug before kissing me deeply as he held my face between his hands. Now everyone will know you are mine, he stated, causing me to laugh and nod, feeling his thumbs wipe away my tears. I love you, Gabriella. I know this is all happening so fast, but I feel like I have loved you since the moment I met you, he confessed, making me cry even harder as I threw myself at him, kissing him with everything I had. I wished I could say it back. I wished I could tell him just how much he means to me, but the words wouldn't come out. They were lodged in my throat like always. All I could say was his name. Jamie. I stuttered out, all on my own this time without him asking, and he knew what that meant. He knew it was my way of saying it back. I love you so much, he repeated, kissing me even deeper as people passed by us on the street and making me realize we were in public. Come on, let's go inside. Jamie grabbed my hand before tugging me towards the door, his eyes glancing down at my new ring as I couldn't look away either. It was magnificent. It was beyond anything I could have ever dreamed of. Once we got inside, Jamie took us to the elevator and typed in some type of code before we got to the very top. That's when I could hear the music pulsing. I started to get nervous, never having gone to something like this before, as Jamie snaked his arm around my waist protectively. Just stay with me, baby, okay? If it's too much, we will leave right away, he stated, and right when I nodded my head, the doors opened, letting in the music and chatter that waited for us. We stepped into a large foyer. Everything was decorated in white, black, and gold, making it look extravagant as people stood around talking and drinking from fancy glass cups. That's when my eyes wandered over the crowd, landing on a girl that almost seemed familiar. She had gorgeous sandy blonde hair that was up in two buns that made her hair look super cute. She was wearing a red bikini and her body was phenomenal. She had perfect curves and skin that seemed to be kissed by the sun. Her eyes were a pretty steel blue and they landed straight on Jamie. "Jamie! You're here!" The girl cried out before running up to Jamie and throwing herself into his arms. Suddenly he let go of me, the girl almost knocking him down as he grabbed onto her. Then his eyes darted to mine as I quickly looked away, feeling awkward and uncomfortable. Hey Jolie," Jamie said awkwardly while prying her off of him. So this was Jolie, of course. I should have known, she did resemble Rylan a lot. After Jamie set the beautiful girl on her feet, he stepped closer to me, his hand grabbing mine as he pulled me forward. "Jolie, this is Gabriella, my fiancée," he stated, and I swear I could see the girl's heart drop as her smile faltered slightly before bringing her gaze to me. "Gabriella, it's so nice to finally meet you. I have heard so much about you," Jolie said sweetly, making me smile as she suddenly lunged forward, hugging me now. I stiffened beneath her touch, surprised by her action as she squeezed me tight. "We are going to be the best of friends, I just know it." "Jamie," I watched anxiously as Jolie whispered something into Gabriella's ear before they both burst into giggles. The fact that she practically stole my fiancé from the moment we got here kind of put me in a shitty mood. In fact, everyone was looking at Gabriella. She was so naturally welcoming and seemed to have such a glow about her. I can't blame them, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. My hand has been glued to Gabriella's this entire time and she didn't seem to mind, considering she was gripping me just as tightly back. I didn't want her to wander off or something. My favorite was when Gabriella would randomly turn around and give me a kiss on the lips or wrap her small arms around my waist and just hug me. So that made things better, but I have no idea where this anxiety is coming from. I have this fear deep down that someone might hurt her or offend her, like I need to be in protective mode and make sure nothing bad happens. Then there was Rylan, who wasn't making it any better. He kept signing with my fiancée from across the room, making her smile and giggle all afternoon. My bad mood wasn't because of Gabriella though, I just never saw her in this type of environment. Even though she can't speak, people don't seem to mind. The responses she can give with her head and hands seem like it's more than enough to keep the conversations going. I slid my arms around Gabriella's waist, peering down at her as she tilted her head back and met my gaze happily. She was gorgeous. My eyes wandered from her beautiful blue orbs down to those pretty pink lips as memories of what we did earlier in the shower flashed through me. "Not the time, Jamie. Are you having fun?" I whispered, making her nod yes emphatically as I couldn't help but bend down and kiss her. I noticed Jolie had been stealing glances towards us all night and I can't lie, I feel kind of guilty, but I'm not going to do anything to make Gabriella uncomfortable. She is going to be my wife soon, and I want everyone here to know that. Besides, it's not like Jolie and I were ever a thing, she just had a crush. But I realized she wasn't the only one staring. At least my cold appearance and annoyed off aura have been able to keep most guys away, but that Rylan, I'm about to kick his ass. I know he is doing this just to get under my skin and it's working too well if you ask me. "Hey Gabriella, you want to go in the pool?" Rylan asked her and she immediately looked at me, then Rylan's gaze soon followed as that grin filled his face. "Sure, if that's what you want, princess." I spoke to her softly, her eyes filling with excitement as we started following Rylan outside. There had to be at least 20 people out by the pool with a DJ and an open bar to the side. Rylan always went all out. I swear this was like a monthly occurrence for him. He never needed a reason to throw a party. I watched as Rylan checked his phone briefly before glancing back towards the apartment. "Nolan just got here, apparently he is hot and heavy on this new chick. They met last week." Rylan explained, and that didn't surprise me one bit. Those two are serial daters. They don't just hop from bed to bed either. I'm talking a new girlfriend every few weeks. I think Rylan has had his heart broken more times than I can count. When he falls in love, he falls hard and fast. I guess I can't be one to judge on that any longer because look at me, I'm getting married in a week and am head over heels for this girl. You are going to love Nolan, Gabs. He is closer to your age. Rylan told her as she nodded her head before reaching down to slide off her pants. Suddenly my hands were out, stopping her as I suddenly peered over at Rylan, who was obviously staring. Let me help you," I sputtered. Gabriella gave me a goofy grin before lifting her arms into the air and letting go of her pants. I could see the humor in her eyes as I slowly pulled the sheer fabric down, my fingertips grazing those milky thighs as I swallowed hard. That's when Gabriella stepped closer to me, her arms wrapping around my neck, causing me to stay crouched down. I watches as the black pants pulled at her feet. "You look almost too beautiful in this swimsuit," I pouted, prompting Gabriella to chuckle as she barely pressed her lips to mine, teasing me. I gripped her tighter, not even caring that we had an audience, as I held her firmly in place before kissing her passionately. Do you guys mind if I join you in the pool?" Jolie suddenly asked, appearing out of nowhere. Gabriella and I pulled back, her cheeks turning red as she looked away from embarrassment. Did Jolie seriously not see that we were busy? Sure, I don't see why not," I muttered as Jolie suddenly reached out and grabbed Gabriella's hand before tugging her to the pool, leaving me with the biggest hard-on as Rylan slapped my back. "Seems like a hard situation for you, buddy," he teased and promptly jumped into the pool before I could smack him across the head. I began unbuttoning my shirt, my eyes scanning for Gabriella as I saw her swimming towards the edge while Jolie followed behind, her eyes glancing towards me before lifting an eyebrow. "Why don't we play a game?" she yelled towards me as I saw that competitive look in her eyes before she reached for a ball floating nearby and held it up. "Girls vs boys," Jolie added quickly as I glanced toward Gabriella, who looked between us. "Not today, there's too many people in the pool," I declared, not beating around the bush as I dove into the water and headed straight for Gabriella. I saw those gorgeous milky thighs as I quickly burst from the water, capturing her in my arms. She let out a squeal before laughing excitedly as I began kissing her neck and shoulders. "I got you," I whispered playfully, making her turn in my arms before she wrapped them around my neck. Her long black hair was slicked back, showing off her beautiful face even more as I watched the water drops slide down her cheeks. I swear I could just stare at her all day. "Nolan! Hey bro!" Rylan suddenly shouted, prompting my gaze to shoot towards the house as my good mood instantly dropped. What was she doing here? I watched as the blonde strode towards the pool, her bikini barely hiding anything at all as her eyes wandered towards the pool before landing on Gabriella. A wicked grin pulled at her face before she tossed back her long blonde hair and nuzzled closer to Nolan. That's not. Rylan whispered next to me as I watched Gabriella turn before her face dropped. Cecelia Kensington, what is you doing here? Cecelia, that little slut, I can't believe Jamie is parading her around like some type of prize he has won. Am I going insane? In what world does anyone choose Gabriella over me? From the moment she came into my life, I have hated her. Seeing how upset she made my mother and the fact that my dad didn't send her off to some orphanage pisses me off. Dad has a soft spot for her, just like he did for her whore of a mother. Mom told me all about their affair, how Dad even tried to leave her because she was threatening to kill herself. Eventually, she did, so I know Daddy felt guilty. He is too soft sometimes. Gabriella has him wrapped around her little finger. I hated when he gave her all of his attention. She was the first one he went to when he got home from a long trip and the last one he said goodbye to when he left again. She would look out that window, watching him drive away like it broke her heart. Pathetic. Gabriella isn't as innocent as everyone thinks she is, just like her mother. Manipulative and weak. The fact that the little freak can't even speak and Jamie still chose her, that infuriates me beyond belief. Do I think she is making up her stutter? No, not after witnessing the lengths my grandma has gone through to get her to speak. Even some of her punishments were a little much for me, but she deserved every little bit of it after what her mom did to our family, after what she has done to me. I remember in the past when Gabriella would try to stand up to me, her blue eyes burning into mine as I towered above her. I actually looked forward to those times the most. Then I would hold her down as Katrina cut off her hair. She was so weak she would just lay there and take it. I wish I could do that now. But I'm already in trouble with Dad. He won't even speak to me or Mom because of what we pulled at the interview. Jamie just needs to know the truth, that Gabriella comes from trash. Does he seriously want trash to be the future mother of his children? The mere thought disgusts me. It was supposed to be me. I did everything right. I even did the physicals and signed the NDAs. Mr. Sinclair loved me. I was contemplating going after him if things didn't work out with Jamie. If this doesn't go how I want, then I might have to go that route. I deserve to be a Sinclair. Gabriella doesn't. I slid my arm through Nolan's as we walked towards the pool. The look on Gabriella's face was priceless. I knew Jamie's crowd. He was only ever seen with a few people, and their family just so happened to be the investors in some of the hottest restaurants in New York. Rylan was obviously not going to work, considering they were best friends, but the brother, he fell for me the moment I walked into the club. I knew to find him it. We have been for a week now, and yet, it is okay, but he is already starting that crap with is good for me I guess, but it just makes it harder to break things off. Nolan asked me about the stuff that happened with Jamie, so that meant he knew about me. I told him we went on a few dates but it was nothing serious, and after that, he introduced me to his sister. She definitely must have trapped Jamie before or something. Just the way she talked about him gave me those vibes. She spoke about him like he was some ex-boyfriend she was hung up on. Luckily they kept me from the older brother because that would have blown up my whole plan. Gabby. I called out the freak's name before smiling widely and waving. All eyes were on me as I sashayed my way to the pool with Nolan by my side. I just got this cute little bikini and I even saw Nolan's brother checking me out. Then I darted my gaze to Jamie. The look in his eyes almost made me stumble forward as my heart leaped into my throat. He looked angry. I knew he was always cold, but this look, it made a chill tremble through me as I watched him pull the freak to his side protectively. Was Jamie hot? I tried everything to sleep with him before, thinking if I got pregnant first it would make things easier, even if the mere idea of having kids makes me want to vomit. At least they would have a nanny or something, maybe two for when Jamie and I travel. But he isn't the reason why I'm here today. My goal is to get Gabriella alone and break her down. I have done it so many times before, so all I have to do is tell her a few white lies, put some doubt in her mind, maybe even see some of those tears I loved getting out of her, and then we are good to go. Because my grandma said that if Jamie can't be swayed then we can get Gabriella to break, she will run away from him, and guess who his dad will make him marry me. I tried not to smile as my thoughts turned sinister once I eyed Gabriella up and down, seeing that fear already coming forward. Good, I hope you stay afraid and remember all I put you through. Come on babe, let's go in the pool. Nolan said while stepping towards the side before greeting his brother and Jamie, which still looked annoyed by the way. I took off my designer heels and sunglasses before placing them on a table and strode over to the pool right where Gabby seemed to be cowering in fear. Hey sis, I didn't think I would see you here, I said as cheerfully as I could muster. It was hard faking it with her. Gabriella just nodded once as Jamie suddenly turned her away from me, his brown eyes almost black as they bore into mine. What are you doing here? He stated firmly, a little too loudly I might add. Hey, what's the problem? Nolan swam over before taking my side. His medium-length blonde hair was pushed back and I quickly placed my hand on his firm chest before stepping closer to his side. I told Nolan that Gabriella never liked me, that she always looked down on me and would do mean things. I painted it as something vindictive. I just wanted to get along with and loved. The problem is you bringing her here. Don't you know who this is? Jamie asked, making Nolan tense before clenching his jaw. Yeah, I know you and Cecelia went on a few dates before, but it was nothing, right? Or is this more about your fiancé having a problem with her? Nolan spat, making me cheer internally as Gabriella's eyes widened in shock. That's when the brother came over. Was he too? Dude, Nolan, chill, it's fine, I'm sure we can all get along for one evening, right? Rylan stated as Jamie glared at Nolan, who gave it right back. Then I suddenly saw the brother do some type of sign long to Gabriella. What? Gabriella hesitated for a moment before doing something back, which caused Rylan to glance toward me before hardening his gaze. Come on Gabriella, why don't we go get another drink while the guys talk this through? Jolie suddenly interjected. No. Gabriella isn't going anywhere without me, Jamie said through gritted teeth, making everything even more tense. That's when Gabriella slid her hand up his chest, causing my blood to boil when he looked down at her, his eyes softening instantly. She just looked at him and it was like they were communicating without words. Fine, just only to the bar right there, okay? Jamie suddenly said more calmly, pointing to the bar a few feet away. That was my cue. I waited until Jolie and Gabriella got out and then I followed right behind the guys, not even noticing because they were glaring so hard at one another. I made my way to the bar, seeing Jolie whispering something to Gabriella as her eyes winded for a second, and that's when I pounced. Gabriella, we need to talk. Gabriella, The moment I saw Cecelia walking towards the pool, my stomach dropped. Why was she here? I hadn't seen her or Regina since the interview, but I guess my dad got really upset with them for crashing it. I saw immediately how angry Jamie got and I felt horrible. I don't like seeing him upset, and every time Cecelia comes around, he ends up protecting me, which I am grateful for, but does he think I bring around too much drama? I saw Rylan greet the man with Cecelia and I learned quickly that it was Nolan, Rylan, and Jolie's younger brother. I get the feeling he doesn't like me. After Jamie started to get into an argument, Rylan turned to me and started asking questions in sign language. Do you want me to tell her to leave? If she makes you uncomfortable, I can. Gabriella, I'm serious. He signed. The fact that he was already being so nice to me made my heart warm as I responded. I don't want to cause any problems. She doesn't like me very much though, so I'm surprised she is being so nice. I signed to him, making Rylan glance back toward Cecelia before looking at her more intently this time. I was proud of myself for telling him the truth, because before I would have faked it and just acted like everything was perfect. I don't know what it is about Rylan, but I feel like I can trust him, maybe because he really seems to care for Jamie and the fact that he has been nothing but kind. I know Jamie was getting annoyed with Rylan for talking with me all day, but he was telling me sweet things about Jamie. He was saying things like Jamie is falling hard for me, and that he has never seen him act like this with anyone else. Things that gave me so much reassurance and happiness that I could almost burst with excitement. After Jolie pulled me from the tense situation, she walked me over to the bar and bent down close to my ear. Gabriella, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I did met Cecelia a few days ago. The things she said about you, well, she made it seem like you were a stalker who swooped in and stole Jamie. So I was a little hesitant to meet you at first, I'll admit. Jolie whispered, making my eyes widen as I pulled back. Cecelia has been spreading lies about me? I don't even know why I'm surprised. I just don't understand why she hates me so much. Gabriella, can we talk? Cecelia suddenly came up, making my eyes snap to her green ones as Jolie stepped closer to me. What do you need to talk to her about? Jolie suddenly asked, catching Cecelia off guard. Well, I just haven't seen my sister in a while. I want to catch up, unless, well, if you don't want to talk to me, I understand. I know sometimes you don't want to be seen with me in public. Cecelia said before looking down at her feet and pouting. Is she serious right now? I don't want to be seen with her? I couldn't even leave the house with them because they said I was an embarrassment. Jolie just looked at Cecelia in disbelief, making me place my hand on her arm before nodding my head. Are you sure? She asked, and I smiled half-heartedly. I know deep down I'm terrified to speak with Cecelia alone, but I can't live in fear forever. I can't cower away and act like that small girl who was afraid of what she would do to me. I glanced over at Jamie, who seemed to be in some heated conversation, and I knew I didn't have much time before he would come looking for me. Great, let's go this way. Cecelia smiled cheerfully, seeming to forget that performance she just put on before reaching out and gripping my wrist tightly. She began pulling me along toward the apartment, her grip tightening with each step, as I knew for a fact there would be a bruise tomorrow. That's when she went to the first room she could find and practically threw me in there. I almost went tumbling to my knees, my hands gripping onto the couch in front of me as I realized we were in some type of gaming room. I can't believe you've actually gotten this far. Cecelia hissed, then she glanced down, her eyes landing on my hand before she gasped and reached for it. I pulled myself away, not letting her touch me as her eyes darkened. "Is that the ring? Let me see," she stated firmly, and I quickly shook my head no. "You know it was supposed to be mine. I showed him those rings," she hissed, making my heart drop. "Wait, was this a ring Cecelia picked out? In fact, all the things you have now were supposed to be mine. But guess what, Gabriella, I had Jamie first. You are just the backup plan," she began, making me swallow hard before taking a step back. "Don't you think he is such a good kisser? And the way he uses his hands, oh, and that tongue. Has he trapped you yet, Gabriella? I loved when he would take me from slap." My eyes widened in shock, my hand stinging from the impact as I placed it over my mouth and gasped, Did I just slap her? Did you?" Cecelia began, her mouth gaping open as she lifted her arm before touching her face. I never thought in my life I would slap someone, but hearing her talk about my Jamie like that, it made my blood boil. I stood up straighter, trying hard not to take back that brave move I just made by cowering in the corner. "You! How dare you put your hands on me?" she shrieked, her hands balling into fists as I knew I was in big trouble. Cecelia was by no means petite and small. She was taller with definition and curves. She worked out a lot. So I knew that a hit from her was rough. "Listen to me, you are going to leave Jamie Sinclair. You are done playing dress up and you are going to end this now," Cecelia hissed while stalking forward and making me bump into the side of the couch, almost toppling over. "Now I think it's time you learn your lesson, freak. Gabriella! Gabriella, where are you?" Jamie called out, making Cecelia turn around before going to lock the door. But before she could, I opened my mouth to say the only thing I could. "JJJA me." I yelled the last part, making Cecelia freeze in her tracks before turning and looking at me in shock. Before she could open her mouth to speak, Jamie busted the door open and ran to my side. "There you are, I told you not to leave where I can't see you. Are you okay?" He rushed out, his hands gripping my face before turning my head from side to side. I nodded yes, seeing the relief flood through him as he bent down and began feathering kisses all over my face and lips. "Nolan! There you are, I was so scared." She slapped me. Cecelia sobbed out before glancing between the two of us as she clung to Nolan's arm. Jamie glanced towards me as I bit my lip anxiously, not denying it because I did. "Come on, let's get out of here, babe, we aren't welcome here anyways," Nolan snapped, making my eyes widen as Jamie just glared at him, and then Rylan walked in just as Nolan left. "Seriously, dude? Wow, you are going to regret this," Rylan yelled after his brother as I felt guilty for some reason. "Are you okay? What happened?" Jamie asked me right when Jolie walked in, shaking her head in disbelief. "Wow, Nolan is right now, do you think he might be?" she began before Rylan cut her off. "Jolie!" he chastised her, looking out the door before shutting it and walking in. "Baby, did you slap Cecelia?" Jamie suddenly asked me, and I nodded my head before feeling tears fall down my cheeks. I know she deserved it, but I felt bad. I never wanted to be that type of person. I didn't want to be like them. "What happened? I can translate for you if you like," Rylan offered as I nodded, feeling like I could puke. She said, "Well, that her and Jamie, you know, and she was telling me about it." I signed, not wanting to do the ASL for X. I'm already embarrassed enough. She said they had X. Rylan asked out loud, making my eyes widen. Geez, thanks, buddy. I just looked at Jamie, who seemed like he was about to blow up. Cecelia said we slept together? She told you that? He rushed out and I nodded yes. Stay with her, Rylan. Then Jamie turned on his heel before racing out the door, leaving me standing here completely bewildered. Where was he going? Jamie, I couldn't believe what I just heard. Cecelia is telling Gabriella that I slept with her. That was the breaking point for me, seeing the hurt on Gabriella's face. I pulled away, my body filling with rage as I glanced toward Rylan. Stay with her? I snapped. I have never been so angry in my life. I didn't even feel my feet moving. They were waiting for the elevator as Nolan kissed her cheek and was consoling her. He and I are going to have some more words real soon. Right when the elevator opened, I reached forward, gripping Nolan's shirt before yanking him back and making him fall to the floor. Then I grabbed Cecilia's arm, her eyes widening with fear the moment she saw me as I pulled her in. You stay! I snapped at Nolan, he still on the floor as he looked up at us. Yet, he was scared shitless. He hasn't seen me this angry before and he knows he was in for it. I know what Jolie was referring to earlier in the room with Nolan, and I agree with her 100%. He is probably using again. I slammed my finger against the lobby button as the doors slowly closed. Nolan! Cecelia whined just as the doors closed, and that's when I snapped. I hit the emergency button, making the elevator stop as a man came onto the speaker. Emergency services, can I help you? He asked, and I looked straight into the camera in the corner. Turn the cameras off. I barked, hearing a slight pause before he spoke again. Yes, Mr. Sinclair. Oh, did I forget to mention that I owned this building too? What are you going to do to me? Cecelia stammered, making a smirk pull at my lips. What should I do to you, Cecelia? For all the shit you have put Gabriella through, for the lies you spew about not only her but me as well. My voice was low and dark, the chill that trembled through her let me know she was scared. Good, she should be. She told you. She whispered, and this really annoyed me off. Obviously I didn't know the extent of what happened to Gabriella, but it must have been bad if this was her reaction. I reached my arm out, slamming my fist against the wall behind Cecelia as she let out a yelp before flinching. If you or anyone else in your family tries to hurt Gabriella again, I swear to you, Cecelia, I will destroy you. I will take every single thing you have and make you live the type of life you deserve, busting tables at some club and giving out blowjobs just to get by, because truthfully, if you didn't have your daddy's money, the only thing you would be known for is lying on your back. I hissed, making her tremble as I fought the urge to put my hands on her. And stay away from Nolan. We all know you don't talk to the same person twice unless you can get something out of it. Do I make myself clear? I asked more calmly this time, making Cecelia nod her head up and down emphatically as tears fell from her eyes. Now, remember what I said and don't be afraid to relay this message to Regina and Katrina as well. You all have a lot to lose, and I'm guessing your father wouldn't hesitate to agree with me if he knew the full truth, now would he? I said one last thing before pressing the elevator again and feeling it go down. I watched as Cecelia scrambled off, the fear she felt obviously showing as she tripped in the lobby and some guy tried to help her. "Get off of me!" she screamed and proceeded to run out of the door. I rolled my shoulders, my finger hitting the top floor button as I typed in the code before slipping my hands into my pocket. When it comes to Gabriella, I'm not messing around. I refuse to. I watched as the doors opened and there stood Nolan, his eyes wide and full of panic as he looked into the elevator. Then I saw the dilated pupils. Yeah, he is definitely high on something. "Where is she?" He rushed out and I just stepped forward before gripping his arm and dragging him with me. "Party's over, get everyone out," I said coolly to one of the security guards that Rylan hired to make sure no one snuck in. "Yes, sir," the man responded before ushering people out. That's when I went to the room where Gabriella was, dragging Nolan with me as he didn't even fight it. The moment I opened the door, I felt someone crash into me before I pushed Nolan inside. "Hey, are you okay?" My voice softened immediately while gazing down at Gabriella, her big doe eyes peering up at me as she nodded her head. I could see the tears just about to fall as I bent down and cupped her face. "Hey, no princess, don't cry. I'm not upset with you. I can never be upset with you." Seeing her like this was breaking my heart. I kissed her lips and cheeks, trying to cheer her up as I felt her clinging to my waist. "I knew it. You're high, aren't you?" Rylan suddenly boomed while looking his brother over. "How is that your concern?" Nolan suddenly quipped, making Rylan's jaw drop as he let out a bewildered laugh. "Seriously? You promised NOL. You said you would stop this shit after the last time." "It's that girl, isn't it?" Rylan said before pointing at him. "Calm down, you know yelling makes him shut down," Jolie suddenly stated while placing her hand on Rylan's arm. Nolan got into some pretty heavy drugs when he turned 20, he started partying every night and almost overdosed after going on a bender. It was horrible. He went to rehab after that and has been clean until now. I guess he drinks occasionally but the drug use stopped. I saw Gabriella look towards Nolan, sadness filling her eyes as Rylan and Nolan had some type of stare-off. "That's enough, Nolan, you aren't seeing her again and this shit stops now," I stated firmly. Nolan was like a little brother to me, and I know he saw me as the same. We are close, we all are. "Starting Monday you are coming to work with me," I declared, leaving no room for argument as Nolan nodded once before turning and leaving the room, letting the door slam on the way out. I knew something was up. I knew it. Rylan sighed before sitting on the couch and rubbing his hands up and down his face. "Hey, don't worry, okay? We caught it early. We won't let him get to that place again," I reassured my friend, making him nod his head once before glancing down at Gabriella. "Sorry for ruining your first pool party, Gabs," he said with a lopsided grin. Gabriella turned in my arms, releasing my waist as I now latched onto hers as I watched her hands moving smoothly. Suddenly Rylan burst into laughter, making me frown as I glanced between them. "What did she say?" Jolie asked before I even could. "She said maybe next time we can just see a movie. Seems like there will be less of a chance for drama, but if there is at least they will have popcorn," Rylan explained, making me smile down at Gabriella before laughing. She seemed embarrassed that all the attention was on her and I couldn't help but smother her neck and cheeks with kisses. Not only is she cute but she's funny too. Well, the party doesn't have to stop here. We still have loads of food, drinks, and pretty girls. Rylan announced before opening the door and was ready to join everyone else, only I already sent them all home. Whoops. Seriously, dude? What? Even the DJ? Rylan pouted, making Gabriella stifle a giggle before Jolie walked out. Looks like you're stuck with us. She smiled brightly as Rylan proceeded to groan even louder, earning a smack across the back of the head from Jolie. Well, what do you want to do, baby? Do you want to go home? I asked Gabriella as she looked between all of us, and without warning she took off running, heading straight for the pool as I watched in shock as she jumped in, causing a big splash. That's my kind of girl. Rylan beamed, making me frown as he went to run after her, but I quickly shoved him aside. No way am I letting him go in next. I ran to the pool after her, my heart racing as I saw her beautiful smile, and I quickly jumped in, my arms looping around her waist as I kissed her deeply. Yeah, I love her and I won't let anyone hurt her again. Gabriella is about to be my wife and no one messes with my girl. Gabriella, I watched as the door opened, letting in multiple people pushing racks of white dresses through the door, making my jaw drop. There were so many. Jamie wanted to stay and help me pick out the dress, but I told him it would be bad luck. He can't see me in my wedding gown before the big day. Everyone knows that, everyone but Jamie apparently. I literally had to push him out the door. But my dad came instead. I felt a little melancholy, knowing this would have been a time when my mother would have played a huge role in my life, but I never had that. I was happy enough just to have Daddy here though. Miss Kensington, we brought many different types of styles for you to try on. Your fiancé insisted that you pick whichever ones you like. The woman dressed in a neat black skirt and white button-up shirt explained. I glanced toward my dad, who was sitting on the sofa, and he nodded towards me before smiling. Well, sweetheart, have a look. He encouraged, making me beam with excitement as I walked towards the racks of dresses. The woman who stayed behind walked up beside me, making small talk and grabbing whichever dress I seemed to linger on, as my dad just sat there, looking at me somberly. He seemed to be stuck in his own head too, and for a moment I wondered if he was thinking about Mom as well. I gazed at all the beautiful white and cream-colored gowns when my eyes were drawn to one in particular. It had long white sleeves with a straight-across neckline and a diamond cut out in the back. It reminded me a lot of the first dress I met Jamie in, but way more elegant. The shape was a mermaid style, and I noticed the woman next to me smiling brightly before reaching for it. Excellent choice, Miss Kensington. This is actually a one-of-a-kind piece made by an up-and-coming designer. She explained as I nodded thoughtfully before touching the smooth texture again. Would you like to try this one on first? She asked, making me nod once again as I glanced towards Daddy. I will be waiting right out here, Bunny. He stated, reassuring me that he wasn't going anywhere. I led the woman towards Jamie and my room. It's funny, when Mr. Sinclair was telling me about you, this is the first dress that popped into my mind. The woman who I learned was named Laura explained, making my eyes dart towards her. You probably want to know what he said, don't you? She asked with a sly smile as I nodded eagerly. After helping me into the dress, she went to the back before buttoning it for me. Well, he said you were beautiful and sweet, that you have a natural elegance about you and are the kindest woman he has ever met. He also expressed to me that you can make him laugh without even speaking a single word, and that you have the most beautiful smile he has ever seen. she whispered sweetly, making me smile brightly as I felt tears filling my eyes. He really said all of that? And from what I can see, he was absolutely right. Now let's have a look in the mirror, she whispered before coming around the front and taking my hand. I walked over to the floor-length mirror, my eyes widening with shock as I let out a gasp before slapping my hands over my mouth. I looked at the woman, unsure if what I was seeing was real, as she nodded and went around to the back. You are the most beautiful bride I have ever seen, and this rarely happens on the first try, Miss Kensington, but I think this might be the one, she whispered as I nodded in agreement. This dress, it looked like it was made for me. I strode out into the hall, taking a deep breath as I saw the back of my dad's head before circling the couch to face him. I watched as his eyes landed on my feet before gliding up as he looked at me with shock. Bunny, you looked beautiful, he breathed before standing and taking a tentative step forward. Do you like it? I signed, making him nod as I watched tears fill his eyes. It's perfect. Your mother, she would be so proud of you, he choked out, making me lose it now as I ran to my dad and crashed into him, giving him a tight hug. I'm so proud of you. You have grown into such a beautiful and kind woman. Jamie is a lucky man, he stated as I tried not to get tears onto my dress as Daddy continued to hold me tight. I know I asked you this before, sweetie. Are you sure this is what you want? He treats you well, right? Dad suddenly asked worriedly. Of course, Daddy. Jamie has been nothing but kind and respectful, I reassured while moving my hands smoothly. Good. I just want you to be happy. You are the most important thing to me, Gabriella, my dad stated, making my heart ache as I saw the worry and guilt he still had. I love you, Daddy. Are you going to be able to walk me down the aisle? Or will we both be crying too much? I signed playfully, making my dad laugh before reaching up and cupping my face. I think I should be okay, but I can't make any promises, he teased before kissing me on the forehead and hugging me to his chest again. Gabriella, I spoke to Jamie. He doesn't want your sisters or stepmother to be there. Did you know this? Daddy asked, making me pull back and shake my head no in confusion. A part of me wondered how it would go if they were there, but I didn't realize Jamie asked my dad not to invite them. Is that what you would like, sweetheart? He asked me now as I bit my lip anxiously before looking down at my hands. There will be many people there. I know it isn't exactly appropriate, but Robert has invited a lot of his friends and a few investors. Considering it is still a contract marriage, it's also a celebration of our companies coming together, and it doesn't seem right not to have your family there, Daddy explained. I know he didn't mean for this to happen, but hearing him bring up the contract made my stomach twist. I guess to me, it isn't about that anymore. Tomorrow night I am meeting Jamie's mom for the first time, and I have gotten along with his friends so far. I just feel like we are a real couple now, but I know this is important to Daddy and Mr. Sinclair even. Okay, I understand, I signed, making my dad sigh before stepping back. I will make sure they are on their best behavior, okay? I promise, Bunny, I won't let anything ruin your big day no matter what, and maybe after the marriage is final, maybe we can all come together again. I know Cecelia is bitter, but she will get over it eventually. Yes, Daddy, I signed back to him. Yes, they could come to the wedding, but I won't have anything to do with them, and if they try to ruin this for me, I won't just lay back and take it like before. I'm done being their punching bag, and hopefully, Cecelia realizes that now after yesterday. Come on sweetheart, why don't you change out of this and we can go get some lunch? My dad offered and I nodded in agreement, looking down at my dress once again as I took a shuddering breath. I know this started as a contract and was meant to bring the companies together, but this is much more than that to me. This is my dream come true and I can't wait to marry my Prince Charming. Gabriella, I stared up at Jamie, my head resting on his bare chest as I watched him breathe in and out slowly. He had just fallen asleep, but I couldn't, not even after what we just did. You would think 3 would have knocked me right out, but nope, wide awake as butterflies filled my stomach. Tomorrow was the big day. Tomorrow I was going to marry Jamie Sinclair and I couldn't wait. This week has been nothing but incredible, and it started with meeting Jamie's mother Teresa. She was just as lovely as Jamie described her to be. I remember the first time our gazes locked, it felt like we had already met before. Teresa had light brown hair and matching honey brown eyes, just like her son. Her skin was kissed by the sun and you could definitely see the resemblance. She was a little taller than me, but the way she opened her arms wide and looked at me with so much warmth I couldn't help but hug her tight. Gabriella, it's so nice to finally meet you, she whispered as her sweet perfume engulfed me. She wore a beautiful green wrap dress and her hair came down in waves past her shoulders. She looked so elegant and naturally stunning. I swear she looked to be in her late 30s. I wondered if Jamie and her ever got confused for siblings. Now what have you done to my son and ex-husband? I have never seen them act so soft, she added playfully as I couldn't help but laugh. That's when Robert came over before eyeing his ex-wife, the look he gave her one that confused me. He looked at her with such warmth that I began to wonder why they weren't together anymore. She seemed to be so relaxed and even friendly towards him. Now you can't blame it all on the girl. I'm sure aging wisely has something to do with it as well, he said before winking at me, earning a rib to the gut from Teresa. I glanced over at Jamie, who looked like he didn't know how to handle this, and went to his side, lacing our fingers together. I could tell he felt confused by the way his dad was behaving. Teresa seemed surprised as well. But by the end of the night, they were reminiscing about old times and I actually saw a hint of a smile on Jamie's face a few times. Teresa asked me to help her clear the table, making Jamie hop to his feet before she scolded him and told him to go sit down. We need some girl time. Don't you and your father have some type of work to discuss or something? She shooed him away, making Jamie frown before kissing me on the lips. I could see he and his mom were very close. I carried the plates into the kitchen, my eyes glancing toward Teresa as she leaned back on the counter and studied me carefully. I will be honest with you, Gabriella, I never liked the idea of this contract marriage, she blurted, making my heart stop as I almost dropped the plates on the floor but managed to grip them tighter before placing them on the counter. Did she not approve of us getting married? I know the type of women whose families usually agree to these things, the type of lifestyles they live and expectations they have, she continued. Surprisingly, Robert and I married for love. She laughed half-heartedly. He was my whole world, and then I had Jamie and he really changed everything. Teresa let out a sigh before looking down at her shoes. Then I realized Robert fell in love with somebody else. Well, something else, his job, she said, making my heart ache as I saw a hint of sadness fill her eyes. As much as he refuses to admit it, I think the divorce affected him just as much as it did me, and that's why I believe he came up with this whole contract thing, that if Jamie were just to meet a woman with common interests and goals, that he won't feel guilty for leaving her to do his job, that it was already known before what the marriage was even agreed upon and no love was needed. What she said made my stomach twist. Was she going to tell me it wouldn't work out? But seeing you two together, seeing how Jamie acts with you, it seems this contract is a little different, wouldn't you say? It seems perhaps love has slipped its way inside of it. She smiled slyly, making me blush while nodding my head before she walked over and took my hands. And I don't know what you are doing to that old man, but Gabriella, you are just what this family needs, so don't ever think this is just a contract for marriage. You two have made it something more. She reassured me, making my heart swell with happiness as I felt like I could cry, and Teresa wasn't too far off. She hugged me tightly as we stayed like that for a few minutes. After we left, Teresa even offered to help me get ready on the day of the wedding, and I gladly accepted. I also asked Jolie to be my maid of honor. She and I have been texting back and forth, and I actually think we might be friends. Nolan still hasn't warmed up to me yet. I saw him at Jamie's work a few times, and every time he seemed to ignore me. I'm starting to think it might not just be from what Cecelia has told him. What else could he have against me? He has agreed to come to the wedding, but now that Cecelia will be there, Jamie doesn't know if that's a good idea. He was kind of upset that I agreed to them coming, which I get. I just don't want to make Daddy look bad. There will be a few reporters there too. I guess this is a pretty big deal. That makes me even more nervous. I took a deep breath before flopping onto my back and bringing butterscotch over to my chest. I slowly traced his nose and the smooth black mound of his eyes. Who would have thought someone like me would be getting married to the most sought-after bachelor in New York? Some nights I lay awake, hoping this isn't some dream I will wake up from and I will be back in that plain room, staring at those white walls, wondering if I will ever escape them. Once Jamie and I are married, then it's official, then there is no going back. We both talked about it, and we decided to wait on having X until our wedding night. He wants to make it special, and a part of me feels like that's the right decision. It will be something I can give him to show he has all of me, even though I have tried a few times already. He says he wants to do everything right with me, that I'm going to be his wife for the rest of his life, so he wants to make it my dream wedding. But that stuff doesn't matter to me. In fact, I swear Jamie planned most of it. I am just supposed to show up, which is okay with me. I have also been practicing a surprise for him. I plan on saying I do when the priest asks. He doesn't know yet, and want him to hear me say it for the first time if I can. I'm still so nervous. Suddenly Jamie rolled onto his side, his arms reaching out as he pulled me to his chest before tucking my head beneath his chin. I love you, he breathed, making my heart race as I bent down, kissing his arm in response. I love you too, Jamie Sinclair, and I can't wait until tomorrow. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.